hello, and welcome to the much anticipated season 6 of the Telnet Show. As always, we're your hosts. We have the fantastic and lovely Kirsha Fox. She's the author of Deception and Justice series. Yes. Homeschooling mom of 4, avid reader and gamer.
And my co-host is Julia J.K. Allen, editor, author, and author coach. She's a fantasy and horror author who loves to put magic in everything. And our guest tonight is Faith Auad, who has always been drawn to stories, whether through the pages of a book or the experiences of a life well lived. Faith balances her love of storytelling with an enthusiasm for reading, crocheting, and gaming. Inspired by the literary greats of our time, she weaves rich, immersive tales that transport readers to realms both wondrous and treacherous. Welcome, Faith.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm so glad to have you. I love the little cat ear.
Yeah, I was like, I don't have anything else, so
Yes.
No,
Embrace the
we
whimsy.
love authentic, whimsical. Yes, be yourself. So, welcome to the show. Tell us all about your writing journey. What does it look like? What got you started? What does it look like so far?
So I always liked to write in like high school. But I was always told I needed to do something more practical. And so I went into nursing school and then that didn't work. And then I became a mom and life just happened. And then I moved out here to Montana and there isn't much here. And I have a lot of trauma that I needed to deal with. And so I started to sit down one day and I just started writing. And I had no idea what I was going to write or what I was going to do, but I figured it was going to be how I dealt with everything. And so I wrote my first novel, and my significant other was like, "Hey, this is really good. You should publish this. I think people would like this." And I'm like, "You're crazy. No, no."
Right.
But
Yeah.
but we did it, and I ended up selling some copies more than I thought I would, and I was like, "Okay, well, maybe." And so then I wrote the second one as a continuation and kind of dealing with things that were a little deeper, and it's much darker, but I noticed that my writing had gotten better.
Yeah.
And so I've put that one out and it's doing okay. And so now I'm working on my third one, which is not affiliated with the first two at all, but it's my first attempt at like a commercially um, more, it's more for the masses than for myself. So it's been its own journey um, in its own right. So it's been fun, scary, but fun.
No, and I was just going to say kudos for doing the brave thing and being like, oh, I'm not sure, but why not try it, right? Because writing's so therapeutic. I'm glad you did it for yourself, telling your stories, processing everything that you needed to. But like, kudos to you for taking that first step because it is scary, but it's so like anything worth doing is worth being brave to do, right? The scarier it is, kind of the more rewarding it'll be, I feel like. So great job. Yeah.
Thank
not
you.
letting the fear stop you, right? Because that's the thing is we never feel ready. Like it never feels like, oh, this is the right time. I'm ready. Don't let it stop you. Do it anyway. Yeah.
Right. Like I said, when I started it, I had no intention of publishing, no intention of ever calling myself an author. It was strictly for me. And then I let some people read it and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is really good. I love this." And I'm like, "Hey, sure."
Okay, yeah. And I feel like that's probably why they love it so much. It wasn't contrived when you made it. It was very genuine. It was very real. It was for you, and other people were able to relate and connect to that.
I was super nervous because it has almost everybody in it is from my real life. And so when I sent it to them to read it, I was like, God, they're going to know it's them. Especially my mother. Because it is a very contentious relationship between my main character and her mother, much like my own. And there were some conversations that I had directly with my mother. And she's like, I remember this. I remember this. And I was like, ooh, sorry, Mom. My bad.
All the things you remember that conversation?
Yeah. Well, it deals with my main the opening scene is the death of my main character's best friend, which happened to me 3 days before my 16th birthday. And I lived somewhere where that was really uncommon. Nobody had really gone through that before. And one of the first things my mom said to me is, if that happened when I was your age, I wouldn't know what to do. And I was like, what? That's all you have for me. And I don't
Mhm.
think she realized how much that hurt me because we have never really been able to talk. It's gotten better as we're older. So I
Yeah.
was really nervous when I sent her the book. And she's like, these are the things I wish you could have said to me then, because she just
Mm.
didn't realize how much it hurt me. But so the
Mhm.
books actually kind of helped us talk about things we've never
Yes.
in like 30 years talked about. So it
No,
was
that's
good in that aspect.
yes.
So
Wonderful. I'm so
my
glad
brother
you
was not happy I killed him in it, but you know, hey. What do you do?
It
And he had it
happens. It
coming, I
happens.
bet.
Somebody's got to die in these books,
Right.
right?
That's what I told him. I was like, somebody had to be the bad guy.
Mhm.
You
Right,
know.
right. No,
So,
no. And like that's great. It sparked a conversation that gave you like that bonding, that healing a little bit of
mhm.
being like, yes, we can have this conversation because like she was like, "Oh, okay. I understand from the
Right.
story." Like I was able to make that connection, build that bridge. I love that. Yeah, no, how wonderful. So, I'm assuming this is fantasy genre-wise.
Yes, yes. So I always explain it to my people that it's my life story, but way more interesting with magic and dragons.
Yes. No, love that.
Always use more dragons in your books for
Right?
sure.
Well,
Right.
there's a
Why
line
not
in
put
Boulder.
magic in?
Yeah, there's a line in Boulder's Gate that says every story is better with a dragon. And
Mhm.
so that's kind of the
Mm,
tagline I've
mhm.
used for it a lot is, hey, every story is better with a dragon.
Yes, yes, yes.
They were
So
correct.
what so is it just like the love of magic and kind of that fantastical element that made you put a fantasy genre bend to it, or is there other things you
Um,
love about the genre?
I think it lets you kind of you're able to talk about things in a way that it still addresses what you want to, but it's still fantastical enough that, like, if you want action and adventure and romance, you can put that
Mm,
in there,
mhm.
but you can also deal with things, but you can put it in a lens that maybe it's not so direct in what you're trying to say. So it's not,
Right,
you're not
right.
pointing any
Softening
fingers.
real world
Right.
issues.
Mhm.
And
Yes,
putting them
yes.
in a way that is one, it's more interesting for people and they can relate, but it doesn't always feel so raw because sometimes when something is
Right.
too you can relate
Close.
too much, it kind of turns you off. But if you can do it in a
Mm,
way
mhm.
um that is a little less finger pointing and more reflective, I think people take
Yes.
a
Yes.
better approach to it.
100. No, I really do agree with that because it's like sometimes when we hold up a mirror, we're uncomfortable with what we see. We don't reflect.
Mhm.
we're not curious about it. It just makes us defensive, right? So
Right.
having that distance of being like, these people are purple, so
Mhm.
we can address like real world issues, but they're purple people, so like it kind of has that space where we can be like, oh
Right.
yeah, I can see why this is unfair treatment just because they're purple.
Right.
you know
Well, I
maybe
because
they're associated with negative traits or some stuff like
right.
that. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I love
So, can you
that.
tell us a little bit about your writing process? How do you go from idea to finished draft?
So, uh, I don't. I start with an idea, and I generally know like where I want to start and where I want to go. Is kind of the middle that I'm not so sure about, and I don't. I am not a planner or a plotter. I wish I was to a point. Because there will be days where I will write and write and write, and I will come back the next day and I'm like, nope, this is garbage. I don't like it all, and we'll just toss it all and start all over again.
Mhm.
I am usually just as surprised as the reader about where the story is gonna go because I don't. I just kind of whatever. I'm very what I'm feeling that day is what I write.
Mhm.
And it makes it a lot more work sometimes because I will have to go back and like adjust so what I do later makes sense. Um, but I really try to be just in the moment as much as I can instead of like this rigid plotted out story because
Mhm.
sometimes yeah that sounds good or that's my or I'll have an idea come to me and I'm like that is really cool. I really like that. Now I have to make it work. Cuz like the book that I'm working on right now, I have probably scrapped and picked over and redone at least 3 times now. But I
Mhm.
feel like the where I'm at with it now is the best it's been. And I
Sure.
really like it much more now. So I really do kind of just fly by the seat of my pants. I am the original pantser.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think that is great that you don't look at the rewrites and the like the new innovative idea, you go with it and you don't look
Mhm.
at it as like I wasted words or I wasted my
Oh,
effort
never.
to redo it. Well, I feel like people will get frustrated and kind of let that stall the project because they're like, I don't
Right.
want to rewrite from book one. My first book, I rewrote from scratch, starting with a blank page twice. Right, I wrote it, and then I was like, this is kind of book two, or I was like, yeah, this is more book two than book one, and so I started again from like rewriting it again, and then I was like, no, still haven't found it, and like doing it again. But it was like people can get frustrated and let that kind of
Mhm.
like put a
Yeah.
block on them of being like, oh, I have to start all over, or I lost words and I don't know what to do like to get it back. But I feel like sometimes that fresh start or reworking it, like you're going to end up with something so much better, right? Because you've collected your thoughts in
Right.
that
And
process.
I very much like, I guess I'm fortunate in the part that I don't normally get writer's block all that much. Like, I always have a
Yeah.
clear idea of what I want. It's just that I'll write it and then I'll be like, I can do this better, or maybe I should say this
Mm.
differently, or hey, here's because like
Mhm.
my entire introduction now is completely different
Mhm.
um, from what I had it, because I think that I had somebody read it and they're like, I'm just really not invested yet. And I'm like, what do you mean? I've told you this, this,
Mm.
and this, and you're not invested. Okay, so wait, wait. So then I kind of shifted
Right.
the focus of the start to make it a little different, to be like, okay, now are you? Because
Mhm.
like I
Mhm.
think the biggest problem is when you know what you mean and what you want to say, and you're like, what do you mean? Yeah, it's right. Don't you get it? And they're like, no. So I
Yeah.
think
No,
it's
yeah.
really helpful. Um, to get as much input early so you don't kinda
Yes.
get too far without
Mhm.
realizing that, "Oh my gosh, all of this needs redone?" Okay.
Yeah, I think a big thing is like you have to have them asking questions, right? If there's no questions, like if you're just giving too much of like the meat before, like you got to kind of breadcrumb it a little bit
Right.
a little bit out and being like, yeah, like, but having them like those questions that naturally arise of like, oh, I need the answer to
Right.
this now, is a helpful way of like approaching that too. But like, yeah, getting feedback so valuable from
Right.
readers.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I feel like those earlier versions are you telling yourself the story, and then the later
Mm-hmm.
versions are you forming it into a story that will be better for others to read.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so,
Because
like, I
pretend you knew
feel
what you were doing the
progress
whole
is
time.
progress, and
Right.
that effort isn't wasted. You had to forge the
Mm.
path first to make it better. Every version is getting closer and closer.
Right.
So,
Yes, yes, I
and then
love
And
I think
that.
and
that's
any work is good work, right? So, like, it doesn't
yes.
matter if you
Right.
put down 200 words or 2,000 words. The thing that I've noticed in a lot of the writer groups that I have joined is that everybody seems to have this really weird idea of what it's supposed to be. Like, there's this perfect book out
Mm.
there, and this is what you follow.
Mhm.
So you have to do it this way. And it's like,
Right.
no, that's just not how it is. If one day you have 200 words and one day you have 2,000, that's great. You did it. You tried. You did something.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
important bit, not what how much you do, but, like, that just that you keep at
Right.
it. Because I think we cause a lot of
Yes.
our own frustration because we think that there's these standards that we have to meet that just really aren't there. It's just what works for you. Did you tell
Mhm.
your story? Did you get your point across? Things like that.
Yes.
Absolutely. Are you
Mhm.
able to finish a story that you're happy with at the
Mhm.
end? Then it works, that process.
Mhm.
Right.
Exactly.
And I know that when I'm done, it will be my editor who can highlight areas and go, okay, this needs more description, or this needs
Mm.
needs more emotional impact, or like I have people who help me along and let me know where my blind spots are
Right.
because we have our blind spots. We know what
Mhm.
this is supposed to look like. We know what these people look like. We know,
Mhm.
what's supposed to be happening here. So, yes.
Yeah, because
Um,
that's usually my first question is, what is unclear? What doesn't make sense to you?
yes.
Mhm.
What is, because I know what I mean, so I when I read it,
Right.
I know what I'm saying, but do you?
Yes.
That's usually one of the very first questions I ask.
No,
Mhm.
that's a great question too, because a lot of times it's in our head. We got to make sure it's on the page what's in our head,
Mhm.
though. Exactly. We got to make sure that's translated fully for the reader. Yes, because in your head, every little answer is answered.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that.
Mhm.
What would you say is the most important part of writing, in your opinion?
It has to mean something. Um,
Mm.
I think that you can tell when somebody's writing just to, like, make money, or if
Mhm.
somebody's writing something because they really believe in it. And they say that every story has already been told, which is kind of true. So you've got to make it your own, and you've got to make it worth the read. Um, I
Mm.
I feel like the thing that we tend to forget is that authors are supposed to be like the voice of a generation, their time.
Mhm.
So what is it that you want people to take away from this point in history? Have we learned our lessons? Are we still just doing the
Right.
same tribal instincts? What is it that we should be doing? And I feel like books are supposed to give you that insight and that feeling. So if you're just writing something to make money, it doesn't really mean anything. But if you're writing something because you see something is wrong and you want to make that social change, that is the
Mhm.
important bit. It's not so much if
Yeah.
you reach one person, then you've done your job. It doesn't matter if you're a best-selling
Mhm.
author or if you're just, whatever. As long as you've reached your audience and you've made them feel something and it's mattered. Because like the big
Yeah.
point of my first two novels was I never wanted somebody to feel like I did. I wanted them to understand that there was
Mm.
somebody that has been through that. I know how you feel,
Mhm.
but you'll be okay. It may not feel like it in the moment, but you will be.
Right.
And I think
There's another side to this once you get through
right.
it.
And
Yeah.
and I think that's the most important thing that we can do is offer somebody that hope and that feeling, even if it's just transporting them away while they're reading your book so they
Yes.
feel better in that moment, then that is enough. It doesn't always have to be profound, but they should
Yes.
feel something.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like the Pride and Prejudice where
Absolutely.
she's like, "Oh, if we're not the handing down a proverb to remember for the ages, what's the point of talking?" She's kind of giving Mr. Darcy a hard
Right.
time saying this, but it's like yes, it doesn't have to be profound always because all stories have value, right? That there's a
Mhm.
reason we tell stories to connect to other people, to say you're
Mhm.
not alone. It doesn't have to be all, like I said, canonical literature that's like
Right.
this is the voice of our generation necessarily, but it's like,
Well,
yeah,
I think
if you're not passionate about what you're saying, then what is the reader connecting to? I
right. Well,
100% agree with you.
I think
Yeah.
that's right why romancy is so big right now and you get so many eye rolls
Yes.
from people. But yet it's giving women readers, especially women, um,
Mm,
an outlet that they haven't had before. Like fantasy has always kind of been
right.
gatekept by men. A lot of
Yes.
times you're reading from it's a male perspective. And
Hmm.
romancy gives women this outlet to be kind of, a little and if
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
liberates them, if that makes them feel, like they have a power within them,
Empowered.
I
Yes.
think that is the important part. It doesn't matter what they're reading. I mean, you can think it's as silly as you want, but if it gives them that sense of, hey, maybe I have
And
this
that's
in
the
me, then
thing.
that's what
We
matters.
have yeah, our society has this tendency of being like, oh, this is what women like. It should be made fun of. It
Mhm,
should be shamed, right?
mhm.
Because like,
Yeah.
what's so bad about pumpkin spice lattes? Like, but everyone would be like, oh my god, But it's like, it's
Right,
what why? Because women like it, and it's also when you look at it's like it's a little spell. Like those herbs and spice, like those spices taste wonderful. They're
right,
amazing, but they also like have meanings to them. It's just like your great great grandmother used nutmeg for a reason for things,
right.
and stuff like that. So, but it's like it's this idea that like when it's something that female presenting people
Mhm,
or people who identify as female like, then it's like a lot of times it's like yeah, it is made fun of, right? And it's
right,
like, but why? What's the point?
Dismissed.
Like let people like a delicious drink. Like what's so
right,
wrong with that? Let people like
right,
romance in general.
right.
What's
Hey,
so
it's got
wrong with
them
people
reading, and
having these
that
stories? Yeah.
right, and they're reading. That's the important thing. I don't care what you read. It could be the back
Exactly.
of your cereal box.
Exactly.
Just read
Right.
something.
Yes.
Yes.
But
Reading
yeah.
is so valuable. I always say reading teaches you empathy. There's nothing like practicing
Mhm.
seeing other perspectives, right? To give you empathy, to be able to see someone in real life perspective that's different than yours, you got to practice that, right? And that's what reading does.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
it helps, like, I grew up in a very homogeneous, area.
Mm.
I grew up in small town Iowa.
Community. Yeah.
Everybody looked
Yeah.
like me, everybody talked like me, but that's what books are
Mhm.
for, right? They show you
Yes.
that those conflicts happen, how to deal with them, like, it just
Right.
that's what it's for,
Well,
and
it
so
opens up your world, yes,
right,
to everything. Mhm. Yes,
Not
yes,
to
and
mention
that's
the healthy benefits to your mind and the
right,
expansions and the
yes,
words that
yes,
you learn and the vocabulary. And yes, there's so
right.
much value to reading.
I know. I'm a little sad because I do feel like the reading culture is getting lost. And I feel like it's because we're kind of overburdened in school. Like when they take away the art, they take away music programs and art programs and recess, the things that give us dopamine, that make us have, those good feelings that helps us to learn, right? You can't do the executive functioning without
Right.
dopamine, right? And so it's like, but because like everything is work, everything is learning, memorization, it's like, who has the energy to read?
Well, that's one
And
of the
we've
great
lost
things
the
that
reading culture in a lot of ways. Like I
Mhm.
said, we used to, how excited were we for like pizza parties because we read enough
Mhm.
books to win
Book
the
it.
class pizza party.
Yes.
Exactly. Like we need to be encouraging and like rewarding reading again to really build that love of reading too. Because like when you find the book that's right for you and you are hooked, right? But you need to like go through the reading experience until you find the right book for you, and then you fall in love with reading, right? But if we're just like don't have the same culture around reading like we used to.
Right. Well, and that's the one of the positives that came out of COVID is that reading actually
Mm.
surged. And one of the
Yes,
crazy
yes.
things about romantasy is that it's actually saving brick and mortar bookstores because women are going
Yes.
in and
Yes.
people that identify as women are going in and buying these books, and it's literally saving Barnes and Noble. And
Oh,
that to
thank
me is
goodness.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I read
Yes.
an article the other day that said, like, reading went up, like, by 50% during COVID, and it has
Mhm.
not dropped back down.
Oh,
Oh,
It's
yes.
stayed.
good. Yes,
And
And
that
yes.
and the
that
popularity of book talk. Like
right. Oh,
people were
Book Talk,
asking
Mm-hmm.
when
Bookstagram.
suddenly
Right.
the brick and mortar stores were starting to be like, hey, these are the books from Book Talk.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. They have their own tables, like book talk hot books.
Right.
Yeah. I
My
love
favorite
it.
is when
Yeah.
they do that they've got a lot of the mom and pop bookstores now on Book Talk, and
Mhm.
they'll go through and
Mm-hmm.
recommend their books, and it's never the same as what you'll see the Book Talk
Yes.
girlies do, and I love it
Right.
because I'm like,
Right.
"Yeah."
Yeah, no, I know. And like there's so many books out in the world. Like it's great to be able to highlight different ones than what
Mhm.
everyone's talking about, right? Everyone like the ones that are like, oh yeah, everyone's talking about like the, bestsellers that always
Right.
are out making money. Like I love discovering those other stories that are like
Right.
more niche or more unique and smaller scale, but like yeah, there's so many books to spotlight. I love when they have a variety that they're
Right.
showcasing. Yeah.
Right. So bringing us back
Yeah.
back on track.
Back to focus.
It sounds like you start with characters first. Is that true, or do you think about the plot first?
I generally start with the plot. Like I'll have what I want to um address. So like with my first two books, like I said, it was my own personal trauma. So the characters were easy because they were my friends or my family. The main character is clearly me. Anybody that knows me knows that she's me. And so it was easy, but I wanted to deal with, like I said, my best friend's death, because that is probably the thing that shaped me more than anything. And then I grew up in a really
Mhm.
abusive household, and so that was the other thing, and the dysfunctional relationship between my main character and her mother, and so
Mhm.
I in that one, I really wanted to focus on that, like, I needed it I needed to, like, kill it, I guess, in me, because I've lived with
Yeah.
it for so long, and so that is one reason why the character that is modeled after my brother is killed, but of course, it's saving the world, it's not just like
Mhm.
it's she does it for herself, but,
Right.
he's got the maniacal plot to take over the world, so she's gotta stop it.
Uh-huh.
Um for this one, the one I'm working on right now, um, I did it I wanted to write first I wanted to try my hand at romance because I've not found one that I really liked. So I knew that
Right.
was kind of the genre that I wanted. But then I'm so unhappy with how the world is right now and how it portrays women, how it just feels like everything has to be hateful. And
Mm.
so I knew I wanted to write something that kind of addressed how silly and superficial a lot of that hate is.
Mm.
And then so then I just kind of figured out, okay, so how do you stop hate? Like how do you end the conflict? And one of my favorite things is it's really hard to hate somebody that you know. It's really easy when you can define them as the other, but if you put people together and you make them learn about each other, then it's really hard to kill them
Mhm.
or to hate them or whatever. And so
Right.
that's how I came up with the idea that I'm like, okay, fine, I'm going to put these people in these warring kingdoms together, and they're going to have to find a spouse.
Yes.
They're gonna
Yes.
have to come together, and they're gonna have to end it. And so that's kind of how I got my idea, and I just started from that, and then it kind of just flowed together.
All
So
right.
I start off very vague and then try to get to the detail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a great approach to do. Yeah. I always say when people are like, how do I get from like point A to Z? I'm like, you go point A to B, or you figure out the big, like the big destinations, the big events, the big scenes you know for sure in your head, and then you
Mm-hmm.
write from one to the next. And how do I
Right.
figure out how to get from this scene to this scene in my head? So because it's like
All
you
that
don't have
stocky
to be
middle
like
stuff.
all the stuff, figuring out all the stuff. You can just take it one chunk at a time. Yeah.
Right. Well, and that's kind of what I do is like I said, I know the start and I know the end, and so then I'll do a very basic
Yeah.
of how I got from here to there, and then I'll go back and kind of
Yeah.
fill it in on how I think it should go or what is lacking or what needs step.
No, that's
Because I
perfect.
have a
Yeah.
fantastic alpha reader. He'll be like, okay, this is good, but I want to know how did they get there? Maybe you should draw this out a little,
Right.
more. Don't get this too quick. Let them kind of simmer because I hate a slow burn. I'm the first person to admit
I
it.
know,
I
right?
am much a if this is how I feel, this is how I feel, and this is what I want, and I
I'm so
forget
yeah,
that
and
other
I have
people
too
are a
much
little more. Um, so yeah, it's great to have
yeah.
that
There's an
thing.
art to the slow burn. If you draw
Yeah,
it out too long,
Yes.
people get too
Right.
frustrated with you.
Oh
right,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
Oh
if
yeah.
they've earned their moment and you take that away,
right.
it's a little too
Right.
painful. But
It's
like
like
also if you don't make
Yeah.
people work for it just a little bit, then they don't appreciate how hard it was to get to that point. So
right,
it's
Yeah,
definitely a
yeah.
balance.
right.
But it is
Yeah.
kind of fun when the book just dives right in. You're like, oh,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah,
this
here
is
we go.
happening.
No, I'm so
A lot of
impulsive and
fun.
I'm all like impetus. It's like no, I'm like you. It's
Right.
like I know what I want. I go for it. Like why wait?
Yep.
But yeah, it is. I do like watching a slow burn though when it's done well because like
Right.
K dramas, you watch 20
Yes.
episodes before they even have an accidental kiss, let alone, you know what I mean? Or you watch
Right.
like 13 episodes before they hold hands and you're just like, ah, when
Right.
they finally get.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's what I tried to do in this one. I have one relationship that like
Yeah.
just takes off, like they know that is what they want.
Yes,
That
Yes.
is
yes.
what they're
And then
doing.
you have a
And then I have
slower burn
another one
one.
that's kind of like,
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know if this is gonna work or how we're gonna fit or how we're gonna do this. And I'm just like, I'm
Right.
very frustrated with that one because I'm like, just get it together, guys.
Just
Like,
get together. Just get
do it.
together already.
So we'll
Yeah.
see how that
That's a
works.
good way of doing it, showing both
Right.
perspectives. I
Right.
like that. Yes.
So you mentioned that you learned a lot from writing your first two books.
Yes.
Mhm.
And what are some of those things that you've learned?
One, to not Google how to write a book, first of all. Don't
Right,
do that.
right.
Um, don't get wrapped up in like the perfect way, like I was saying earlier, that like there's no perfect way. There's no you don't have to have a certain amount of words for your chapters. Did you say what you needed to say? Did you progress your story? Did you do all the things that you're supposed to do? The word count doesn't necessarily matter. Um, I learned to give myself grace that every time you write, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be shiny, and you do need that feedback and that criticism. I have learned how to
Mhm.
take criticism a lot better. The first book, anytime
Yeah.
anybody said something, I about wanted to die.
Oh
And
yeah.
now I just realize that they're just trying to help. Um, I've also, I think, found my voice. The first two were
Good.
very personal, and so I was very sure on what I wanted to say. This one has
Mm.
been a little more fun because it's not quite so personal, so I don't feel like
Yeah.
it's so exhausting to do it. But I learned a lot
Mm.
about the process, like editing, like doing the formatting and all of that. So it's been fun. It's also very tiring. I've learned what I
Yeah.
absolutely hate about it. Um, but it's a lot of reflective because you learn about a lot about yourself as you're doing it. Um,
Mhm.
and you can really find yourself while you're getting lost in your writing. And I think
Yes.
that's great. But
Yeah.
I feel like I express myself a little better now that I've had to try
Mm.
to
Mhm.
put it on a page. Um, so
Yeah. No, I agree. And I was going to say earlier when we were talking about rewriting and starting from scratch, there's no such thing as wasted words. Everything is like you are improving and practicing those skills and getting better. So don't ever feel like it's wasted words, right? Because like they say you need 10,000 hours to master a skill. I say you also need, and he's the guy who's talked about it as well, also says you also need feedback, mentors, guides, somebody saying like, hey, you could improve in this area or maybe look at
Right.
this aspect.
Yes.
Because if we're just in a vacuum practicing, we're just practicing bad habits over and over again, right?
Right.
But like, yes, those words and that like that you learn so much each time you do it, right? You learn so much each
Right.
time you craft a new story. And so I love that just
that
leaning
excellent
into
alpha
that.
reader that she mentioned.
Right.
Those
Yeah.
people
And
are worth their weight in gold.
Yes.
on some of the internet forums like Reddit and Facebook, and if you do
Mhm.
remember that it's popular to hate everything right now, and so
Yes,
don't
yes.
take every bit of criticism. Um, remember who it's coming from. Just
Right.
because it's really easy to be like, yeah, this is garbage, and maybe it is to them, but that doesn't mean
Right.
that it is to everyone. So
No,
just
yeah.
remember who is criticizing you when you receive the criticism.
And who's your audience?
Right.
Exactly. That's one of the most important things. Like, who am I writing for? Because
Hmm.
you need to write to that person and ignore the rest, right? Because
Right.
it's even from your editor, right? Even from your editor, you might get feedback that is not right for your story, right?
Right.
And so, like, as an editor, I'm always like, this is a conversation. Tell me why you made this decision. I'll tell you why I think you should make this different decision
Hmm.
or maybe pivot or whatever. And then we have a conversation about it because I'm like, it's your story at the end of the day. You need to do what's right
Hmm.
for you and your story. But, like, I'm giving this advice for this reason. How do you feel about it, right?
Right.
But like, because I got advice from my first editor, and he was like, "You need to completely rewrite your ending. I know what you were trying. It's not working. It's so predictable. So whatever." So I changed it, and then when I was getting it published, they were like, "This ending, what happened? This is not like." And I was like, "Oh, I had this other ending, but my editor told me it was wrong." And I sent it to them, and they're like, "This is the perfect ending. What I don't know what he was talking about, but like,
Right.
let's do this ending." And so there's, but I was just so naive as like a new author that this
Right.
guy's an editor. He knows what he's talking about. Like, so it's always, yes, it's always like approach it from who's giving the advice.
Mhm.
And like also I don't want to name the guy who I'm quoting because he's maybe not done some of the best stuff, but the idea is like if someone says, oh, this isn't working, like they're usually right. If they say how to fix it, they're usually wrong, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, you get feedback from people, take it in, sit with it for a moment, and then see, like, does this really resonate with my story? Does this really resonate with me? Or, like, should I trust my instinct?
Well, and it was also really
Mm-hmm.
eye-opening to me to find out how predatory, the
Oh, yeah.
publishing and
Mm-hmm.
editing, is,
Yes.
because I had no idea. I had no
Yes.
idea,
No.
um, what a
Well,
what
they
a
prey
vanity
on the fact
publisher
that it's
was.
your dream, your life
Right.
dream to
Yes.
be write this book, and they take advantage of that.
Right. Like, I had no idea what
Yes.
vanity publishing was. Not putting anybody down. If it's
Mm-hmm.
worked for you, great. Had no idea what that was. Um, the
Right.
amount of just weird solicitations you get on social media from
Mm-hmm.
people claiming to be this or that or the other.
Yes.
I had
Yes.
no idea it was such a thing. Um,
Yes.
Yes.
At
until I did
every
this.
level
And
of publishing, there are
yeah,
sharks out ready to take a bite out of you.
right.
Yes,
And
yes. Because like I
it was
said, you're
just
so
so
eager to
crazy.
get your dream to
Right.
come true.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. It is. I will say this about vanity presses. You can pay other people, like, yeah, you got to do the effort of finding your own editor, finding your own cover designer, but you can pay them. You'll vet them through this process to make sure you're getting quality work, oftentimes for a better price than what they're
Right.
offering their bundles for, right?
Well,
And like I said, they're offering their bundles. They already got paid. They don't care if it's quality.
right.
They've made their money. It doesn't matter if your book's good. It doesn't matter if your cover sells. They've
Right.
already made their money. That's on
Yeah.
you, right? So, like I said, it's so much better to just, you are like, take out the middleman, right? You
Right.
find your editors, you find your cover designers. You'll oftentimes, like I said, find a better price anyway.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
that was probably like because I was like really excited, and then I'm like, wait, you want me to pay
Yeah.
how much
Yeah.
for what? You're only
Hmm.
gonna do what? What?
Yes. Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
that
Right.
was really eye-opening.
Yeah.
To
And good for
see.
you that you recognize, like, hey, this isn't the deal they're making it
Right.
sound like. Yeah.
Right. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Great. So, how do you make time for writing?
So fortunately for me, my children are all grown. I
Yeah,
live
that
quite a
helps.
distance from them. So I don't get to see them very often. I do have a very supportive significant other that I get to stay home and write, and he goes to work and takes care of us. So I am
Mhm.
very fortunate in that. My mental health has not been the best since moving out here to Montana. Because when I say we live on the
Mhm.
frontier, we live on the frontier. There's nothing
Mhm.
here. The closest Walmart's like an hour. Uh,
Yeah.
but since I've started writing and I feel like I'm doing something productive, it's helped. So he has
Yes.
no complaints about letting me write. He's
Oh,
also my biggest
great.
support system.
Aw.
Uh, the only
Oh,
thing that
how
I wish he would
wonderful. Yeah.
do is give me more feedback than, "Hey, this is really good."
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, but no, I recognize that I am very fortunate that I don't have the struggles, that most people do, because I can just do it whenever I want.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So
Mm.
Okay.
It still takes motivation though. You still have to like sit down and do
it
it. Like,
does.
cause sometimes, cause I've been in positions in my life where I was blessed to have so much free time to write, and I never wrote because I was just like, oh, I've got all the time in the world. It wasn't the driving force of
Right,
being like, I only have an hour. I've got to get the words down. They're driving me
right.
crazy. Like, so like, kudos to you. You still sit down and
The
actually do the
I
work,
do.
self-discipline.
because not everyone with the time will do that.
Right. I'm not there
I'm
are days where
testimony.
I'm like, "Oh, hey, I should go do the dishes quick," and then, I'm doing 80 million other things, and then before I know it,
Yeah,
half the day's
yeah,
gone, and I'm like, "I haven't done anything yet." But
right.
because he allows me, I shouldn't say he allows because that sounds worse than what I mean, but because
He
I am
supports
able
you
to.
to follow your
Yeah,
dreams.
I feel
Yes,
like I
yes.
owe it to him to have that self-discipline because he's
Mhm.
Oh,
he's he's
yeah.
enabling me to be able to do this. So it's kind
Yes.
of my
No,
way
that's
of respecting him back
amazing.
that I do as much as
Yes.
I can.
No,
So,
how great. You have mutual respect and support for
yes.
each other. That's so wonderful. Yeah, no, that's so amazing. And also like kudos to you for recognizing like I'm in the yellow wallpaper. My life is yellow wallpaper.
Mhm.
I need to write.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like that she didn't have the stimulation, she didn't have anything to do,
Right.
like, and look what happened.
Right.
So yes, 100% good for you for like being like, yes, my mental health is suffering from the lack of what's going on around me. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna do my passions and lean
Yep.
into that. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite part of writing?
World building, definitely.
Yes.
I love being able to make a world that is mine, and I love that I can make a character that is evil and terrible, and I know that I get to punish them.
Mhm.
I know that
Yes,
that good is
right.
gonna win, and that, um, I have found that all of my writing now tends to lean that way. When I was a teenager,
Mm,
I did
mhm.
the dark, broody things where maybe the bad guy is gonna win and all of that. But now that I'm
Yeah.
older, I realize that is not the world that I want at all. I don't like shades
Mm-mm.
of gray. I want good to be good and bad to be bad, and I
Mhm.
want there to be a clear, like, this is how it should be. Not quite
Yeah.
utopian, but still, like, if something bad happens, it's okay. The good guys are gonna fix it. Um, I
Yeah.
have as I've gotten older, I realize that is what I want. I don't want shades of gray. I want this is
Right.
how it should be.
No, I hate a
Because
morally gray character. I like more
yeah,
gray
I
hair,
just
morally gray hero. I'm like, you're just a jerk. Like you're just
yeah,
like you do the right thing when it serves your purpose. Like that.
right.
I don't fall in love with those kinds of characters the same
No.
way as I do like. I don't need a Superman. You don't have to be perfect and good all of
Right.
the time, but
Well,
like you can still be human. Yeah.
I think you have to make them flawed, and you have to give them that
Mm-hmm.
moment where they have that self-reflection of, "Okay, how do I
Yes.
wanna be?" And
Yes.
I think it's also important to recognize that you can have those moments where you wanna have that vengeance, where you wanna do that
Yes.
bad thing,
And
but
you
the good
still
wins out.
ultimately do the right thing.
Right, you realize
Yeah.
that, and I also like exploring the idea, I think Wicked does a really good job of it
Yeah.
about, like, um, what how good to one person is bad to another,
Mm.
and
Yes.
words matter, and it matters what you call someone or how you see their actions, and I think it's really
Mm.
fun to explore the whole, "Well, you think this is bad, but is it? Is it? Like,
Yeah,
is it
and the
better? Or is it just different?"
no,
Mhm.
Wicked is
So,
my favorite musical. I was blessed enough to see it opening year on Broadway, and it just blew my mind.
I saw
I
it at the
love it.
Gershwin.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I love it more than the book, right? The book
Right.
is yeah.
The ending is
Yes,
so much better.
and here's the thing. I heard this theory that the higher Glinda sings, the more she's lying. So you'll see when she's saying, "Thank goodness no one mourns the wicked," right? She's up in the she's in outer space. She's singing so high, and then as she's telling the story and getting more true to herself, and being truthful, then her voice is like lower ranges and stuff too. So I love that aspect of the play.
Good use of symbolism.
Yes. Well, that's what I love about it, and what I love about it is you're watching a play that is really charged like politically, but you don't notice it. Like they do it in such a masterful way that it's an important plot and it's there, but you
the
don't
lesson's there, but it's not like hit over your head with the moral. Yes.
And I think that's storytelling at its best, when it gets its point across without beating you over the head. You feel good for watching it, and you realize the bad. But then it is also infuriating when you have people that have watched these kind of shows their entire life, but yet you see them in real life cheer for the bad guy, and you're like, wait a minute.
Well, it's like people. Yeah, it's like when Rage Against the Machine comes out with a political quote, and they're like, "What? I'm not listening to you anymore." And it's like,
their literal
what
name.
machine did you think they were raging against? What machine did they think they were mad about? The washing machine?
Like, or when the people, the machine they're raging against uses their music, and they're like,
yes,
no,
that's what I mean when they're like, no, that's not, or like when certain political people will play like Born in the USA or like, and not listen to the actual lyrics for their rallies.
Right? It's just like you've watched Star Wars your entire life, and what? You do realize, right? Like, we're watching that play out right now, and you're choosing to side with the Empire. Like, what are you doing?
Especially the latest Andor that came out. Goodness, that was grim. But like, I was sitting there the whole time going like, this is a little too real. Like,
right. Yeah.
But that's the magic of stories, isn't it?
Right.
That's the magic of fantasy,
and that's
of
why they're
sci-fi.
important, and it's why it's important. So important.
Yes. It is, right? Because if we're not telling these stories, if we're not remembering the stories, we're doomed to just repeat over and over. Unfortunately. Yes, but oh my gosh, I had a thought previously. I'm trying to find it again.
Well, can I jump to the next question?
Yes, please do.
You have a least favorite part of writing?
Yes. Promoting. Self-promotion.
You're right. Yes.
Marketing. Talk about yourself, having to do the marketing. I have a business degree, so it's helpful because I kind of know what I'm supposed to do. But when it's you, it's just like, oh my God, this is terrible. And I hate social media. It's a cesspit. I don't want to have to go on there. I don't like it. But I recognize its importance. And that is without a doubt the worst part. I just want to write. I don't want to do all that other stuff. My whole goal is to make enough money so I can hire somebody to do it, because I don't want to do any of it. I don't.
Yeah. No, the whole business of authoring is not what we all signed up for. We signed up for the storytelling, and then the business of authoring happens.
So that is by far the worst.
There was some delusion on my part where I'm like, hey, I wrote a book. Now people can buy it. And I'm like, why aren't they buying it? Like,
right.
Well, and then again, you got the whole predatory thing, right? Because you're like, oh yeah, buy your ad, do this, do that, do this, do that. And it's just like,
yes.
Really? Is this going to help me, or am I going to waste more money trying to get,
never quite know what the outcome will be of your ads. And should you do Google ads or Facebook ads or Amazon ads and how do you get reviews, and how do you, all these things. You don't know what the outcome is. And a lot of people sort of describe like a trial and error kind of process. See what sticks and do that more. And I was like, I don't.
And it's constantly changing too. It feels like what works.
It was hilarious because in my book, it's centered around, I have a tavern. And so on Thursdays, I did Thursdays, and I would do drink inspired by my world. Those got the most views of anything I ever did.
Yes, people love things like that. Yeah.
And I was like,
no, my friend,
we'll just put a bar in everything. That way, hey, at least I know I got one.
No, our friend Catherine Sweet, she releases recipes related to her
Mhm.
books and sells that, like, as like,
Mhm.
but it's so fun because you're reading the story, you're falling in love with the characters, and then you can make their food that they're
Yep.
enjoying and stuff like that, right? So
I thought about
those
doing
kind of
that one.
ideas, I love those things.
Mhm.
Yeah, those are great.
That's such a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so clever. Yeah.
Okay, and the next question is my favorite question. What has been your most significant writing victory so far?
Just doing it. Doing it.
Yes.
Like,
Amen.
just
You did
I
it.
mean, yeah, the feeling that I felt the first time I pushed that publish button on KDP
Yes.
was amazing. There are very few things, barring, graduating college and the birth of my children, that made
Yes.
me feel like I had done something really big and really
Yes.
special. Um,
Mhm.
because one, the story is so personal to me, and two, because like I did it. I finished it. I've written many stories in my life and I never really finished a lot of them, but
Mhm.
this one I
Mhm.
had. And just the feeling is indescribable of like so much like you did it and it's so cool.
Yes.
And I wish
Yes.
everybody
Yes.
could feel that in something that they've done because
Yeah.
it's amazing.
No, I never felt better than that first time I held my book in my hands, right?
Hmm.
That physical
Yep.
copy and being like, I did
Mhm.
it. I finally realized this.
Right.
You know what I mean? It is such a, oh my God, such a wonderful
Yeah.
feeling. Yeah.
Yes.
And I noticed like there was a couple things I didn't do and I was like, it didn't
Mm.
matter. Like
No, right.
on one
Flaws
hand, I'm
and
like,
all.
"Oh,
It's
whoops."
perfect.
But I
Yes.
was like, "I
Flaws
can
and
fix
all. It's
that
so
because nobody
wonderful.
can buy this yet." I didn't go live. I waited for the proof, thank God.
Yeah. Yeah.
I forgot
Yeah.
I actually forgot to put page numbers at the bottom of
Oh, yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
but I
no.
didn't
Yeah.
care. I didn't care. I had it in my hand, and it was just the
No,
coolest thing in the
yeah.
world. So, yeah,
Right.
definitely
Right. No,
just
it is
doing
a
it is
wonderful feeling.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, no, you're gonna make mistakes. Like
Mhm.
this indie author
Mhm.
thing is so hard. There's a million things to keep track of, small details, and stuff happens. And the most you can do is,
Mhm.
like get a proof.
Yep.
Be very
Yep.
careful
That
about
is that
checking
is
it.
that is
And
my
then,
probably my number one advice is before you do anything publicly,
Yes.
get that proof.
yeah,
Make
Yes.
sure
Right.
it
Double
looks
check
the
your
way you
work.
want it to. Yeah.
but
Double check your work before you turn it in. Yes.
Yep.
but
Yep.
one failure, one obstacle isn't the end
No.
for you.
No. And
No.
You
that's the
can
thing. You
fix it. You
can
can keep
edit.
going.
You
Right.
can edit and re-upload and fix it.
Hmm.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely. So if you are impulsive and you do the thing and you hit publish too soon, that's okay. It's not the end of the world
Right.
either.
Right. Well, because like I
Yeah.
did my first one completely blind. I had no idea what I was doing.
Mhm.
I tried to read as much as I
Right.
could and get all the tips, but like
There's so many steps
I didn't think
involved.
about it. And then when I was
There's
looking at it, I'm
so
like,
many
wait a
steps
minute,
involved. Yeah.
it's not there. So yeah. No, I
Yeah.
definitely
No.
um the and
It's a learning
the
curve. Yeah.
yeah. And the biggest difference that I'm doing with this current one is I watched a lot of the what do readers like in their books because like I didn't
Mm.
realize the different things that different readers wanted because I don't look for a glossary. I don't think that I'm too smart
Yes.
that I need one, but it's just not something I've ever really thought about. And then like maps
Right.
and things like this and all of those little things
Yeah.
that I never thought to put in the first two. And I'm like, well, hey, if that's what people want, well, sure, I can do that. Trigger warnings
Give
is
the
something
people what
else
they
that's
want.
new
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
me because I read a lot of older books that just don't have them.
No.
So
Yes.
finding out that there's a whole bunch of different things that people want now that aren't maybe traditionally in books has
Mhm.
been really eye opening too. So
Yes, right. Which yeah,
Absolutely.
we want to we no one wants to be surprised by a trigger. So I'm on
right,
the camp of like if I can save someone like heartbreak remembering something
right,
unpleasant, I will try to my best. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So my favorite questions, I think we skipped one, I think on accident. So I'm gonna ask
Okay,
two questions that I say are my favorite because
okay.
I love what people are passionate about, what they love and hate. So what's an author that you love and what do you think they do well? And then I'll ask about a hate question later.
So I am absolutely in love with Jane Austen. Um,
Yes.
she has been my
Oh my
favorite
God,
author
we're gonna
since
be
I
best
was
friends
like
now.
since I was like 12. Um,
Mhm.
I love that she is another one. I think she first mastered the idea of like wagging her finger at society without
Yes.
really making it about that. I think it
Yes.
crushes my soul when people say that they love the Keira Knightley Pride and Prejudice movie,
Hmm.
because it misses the mark on so many things about what she's trying to say.
And they give certain lines that were like the dad's lines to Elizabeth for this like
Right,
modern bent of she's such an independent. I'm like, she's already an independent woman.
right.
Like,
You
let
don't need
the,
to make it more.
yeah. Why are you?
But,
Yeah.
like,
Hmm.
that is what I love, is that she made so many social comments that you didn't
Hmm.
realize they were social comments, and she also wrote at a time where women didn't get to write very much,
Yes.
but
Mhm.
or if they did, they tried to credit their husband, but she 1, she didn't have a husband, and 2, she
Right.
wrote in such a manner there was no way a man wrote that.
Mistaking.
No
Hmm.
way.
Yeah, there was no
No
mistake.
way. Um
Yeah.
because my favorite line, it comes from Sense and Sensibility, where she's talking to Edward about how he's whining about his future and he doesn't know what he's gonna do and he's so aimless. And she's like, "Well, at least you get to make your fortune. Like
Yeah, at least you get a chance
we
to
can't,
determine your
yeah,
life.
we
Yes.
can't do
Yes.
anything." And to me, that was really powerful, even so young,
Yes.
because like we don't still really get that choice.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I love Austen, and that whole like British, like the all of the women of her time have really been really influential, which is kind of weird when none of my passions are really that, but I Jane
Yes.
Austen would have to be my favorite author ever,
Yes.
hands down.
The other thing I really love about her is like it's not like it's duels. It's not big
Mhm.
over the top action. They're going to each other's houses. It's
Yep.
social interaction. She makes the everyday interesting and impactful.
Right.
And it's like the ordinary is what you are like fascinated by,
Right.
and that's such a skill because it's like a lot of people feel like it has to be car chases and big,
No.
these big cinematic blockbuster Hollywood type things happening in your story. It really doesn't, as long as you're writing it well and finding like the the gem of like what this is. We love these stories because it's human, it's so human,
Right.
it's so relatable. Yeah.
Well, and they tend to focus on her being a romantic, but no, not really. Her stories are more about the
Hmm.
inner relations of everybody. So like Lizzie and
Yes,
her dad,
there's family
or
dynamics.
the
Yes.
sisters, or when
Yes.
poor the middle sister gets her heart ripped out, and her
Yes.
sister is there for her, or just the struggle of not being like, some stranger impresses this
Yes.
secret on her, and she keeps it. She
Mhm.
didn't have to. She could have told
Right.
everybody, but she didn't. And I think that there's a value in those kind
Mhm.
of things far more than the romance. I mean, yeah, the
Yeah.
romance is there, but that is not the important parts.
Yeah, and like you were saying, like she also tells a story that is like, oh yeah, this is what women are facing, and maybe it's
Mhm.
not the right thing to be facing. Like with the story of the guy, they wanted to get married, but he hadn't found his fortune. He goes off to sea, ends up
Mhm.
coming back successful, and she feels like she's just
Persuasion.
declined.
Yeah.
Yes, where she's just like, because she's so unhappy that she feels like she's plain and she's kind of her light has
Mhm.
dimmed, and he doesn't see that like no, this is like not her decision to make, and like she suffered for it, and like he never saw her perspective until he overheard that conversation where he was like,
Right.
no, women feel just as much as men, but they don't have the
Right.
freedom to talk about it. And it's just like
Right.
it wasn't like a big sign saying change the patriarchy, but it was
Right.
like seeing that perspective is like eye opening for people,
Right.
I
Like
think, which
Lizzie,
has so
she
much value.
right,
Yeah.
when she denies the wedding, or the proposal, and her mom is just
Yes.
like, "What? Why? Like, this is everything you should want." And she's like,
Yes.
"No. No, it's not.
Have you
It's
met
not what I
him,
want at
Mr.
all."
Collins?
Right, like,
Yes.
"Have you
Have you
talked to
met
Mr.
Mr.
Collins a
Collins?
day in your life?" Like, yeah, obviously not. And I think that it's hard for, I think, women today maybe to appreciate that quite so much, but I can only
Mm.
imagine what it would be like to be a woman in her time and have somebody read that and be like,
Well,
"You know what? Maybe I
and
don't have to
and
worry
for
about my
her
comfort."
and for her to have to wrestle with her friend making that decision instead,
Mhm.
and like but also she didn't approach it from a place of judgment, because she was like, yeah, what options did Charlotte have, and she's
Right.
very happy to keep him busy and not deal with that
Right.
daily,
Right.
and she's very happy with her circumstance, but it presented like both sides as being like there's no right or wrong, like you don't
Right.
have to be Lizzie to still be like, oh yeah, I understand where you're coming from though, and like
Right.
you deserve to have your form of happiness even if it's limited to us,
Right.
right, in our opinion. So yeah, oh my god, yeah, love her writing. I'm obsessed.
Yes, I am
But
with
okay,
you.
my other favorite question is there any writing advice you hate? Just
Pretty much
doesn't gel. You think,
anything,
yeah,
pretty much almost anything from Bryan Sanderson, I take
okay.
issue with, which I know is
Oh,
weird. But I feel like there's a difference between being a like fantastic writer and
mhm,
being prolific, right? Like you can write as much
mm,
as you want, and if you put a bunch of stuff out, yeah, you're going to sell a bunch of books. And I know there's a bunch of people that really like his writing, but every time I have listened to his advice or like listened to
mhm,
something he said, most of the time it almost feels like it's coming from a place of condescension. And like if you don't do it my
mm,
way, if you don't think these things, then
mm,
you're not doing it right. And I don't feel
mhm.
that that may not be how he is trying to come across. It could just be
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
That's how I take him. And I mean, if
yeah.
you read his work and you love it, great for you. That's fantastic.
Yes,
I
yes,
just
yes.
wish that maybe when authors gave advice, they kind of thought about how you're talking to somebody about their dreams and you're talking to somebody about
Mm,
something that is really personal to them. And sometimes you make it feel like if you don't do it this specific way, then
mhm.
it's not correct. And I just don't
Yes.
feel
Right.
that
There is
that
no
is how it
one
should be.
formula for
Right.
success.
Because I feel like
No, yeah.
when I talk to other authors that are just starting out, they like to give what he gives as advice is like, that is what they
Mhm,
have to do. This is the holy grail. This is
mm,
gonna, and
mhm.
I'm just like, yeah, that works for Sanderson, but is that gonna work for you? And that's
Yeah,
really
no.
my only thing is that like I wish they would maybe think about who they're talking to and what the kind of strain that puts on people because they see what he's done and they're like, yeah, I got to
Yeah,
do
his
that. But
success. Mhm,
maybe
mhm,
you don't because from my understanding, like he has a compulsion to write. Like if he doesn't do all of this, then it like affects him personally. So that may
mm,
not work
mhm.
for somebody that doesn't feel that same compulsion. So,
No, I can see where you're coming from because like Stephen King's On Writing I read and I was just
mhm,
like, if you're not a pantser, this does not apply. And he says to
mhm,
have a toolbox, but he doesn't go as in depth like about the toolbox as I wanted him to. Like
mhm,
I enjoyed reading it and I didn't hate it by any means. I still
right.
recommend it to people because it's a great memoir that shows that like he threw away his first novel. He
Mhm,
threw it away. His wife dug it out of the trash and sent it to the publisher, and it got published, right? So it's like, yeah, it's great, and it's like, and if you are a pantser, it's very valuable. But like for
mhm,
me, I was just like, advice doesn't really apply to me here. Like
right.
and I just felt like I didn't connect with it. And it's like he's a pro. I love his stories. I
Mhm,
just watched The Life of Chuck. Oh my god, so life affirming. I
mhm.
love his stories and his writing and stuff. But yeah, advice is like there's as many different ways to write as there are writers writing, right? So it's that broad brush stroke that's like
Right.
this is the right path, this is the one way up the mountain.
What I think is fascinating about King is if you watch what he says now, opposed to what he said when he
Mm,
came out, it's not so
yes.
much that it's different, but you can tell, I think, that he now appreciates the voice that he has when he's giving such
Mm,
advice. Because one of the most
mm-hmm.
amazing pieces I've ever seen is him and George R.R. Martin talking.
Yes.
And Martin asked him, do you ever have days where you feel like you should have been a garbage man instead of like,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
just was like, that is amazing because to watch, I think they
yeah.
both kind of
Mm-hmm.
appreciate what they say and how it matters, and I don't
Yes.
know if Sanderson always gets that that's where he's at as well now,
I
that
don't
he's
know if
been put in that
Mm.
place.
imposter syndrome ever goes away.
If what goes away?
I don't think imposter syndrome ever quite goes away.
Right.
You
Yes,
know, even when
yes.
you're a success by any kind of measure, there's still that
Yes.
little voice inside of you that goes, "Are you sure you know what you're doing? Are you sure you don't want to quit?"
Mm-hmm.
And we just have
Yeah.
to like not listen to the voice. Keep going.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
I
here's
think
the thing. We have imposter syndrome because of invalidating circumstances in our childhood. When you express your genuine, authentic self, and you were told like, what are you doing? Why don't you do it like the right way or conform or whatever it is, like whatever that message got, a lot of us receive that like being me is not really great. It's not really accepted, right? So of course, when we're doing things, we don't feel like we know what we're doing, right? Because we're always like, I'm doing it wrong all the time, right? And so imposter syndrome, I feel, is like, especially for creatives, like we're oftentimes told you're too much, you're too extra, you just need to be quieter, be smaller, sit still, do the, you know what I mean, do what you need to do. Why are you so flighty and daydreaming all the time? So it's like, of course we feel like we're not genuine, right? We're not the real thing. We feel like, oh my gosh, I'm just faking it. Everyone else knows what they are doing. It's just I don't. And so yeah, don't let that stop you just because you feel that way. Yeah, don't let the imposter syndrome like stop you, because we all feel that way. And we all still need to be doing what's valuable for the world, making art.
Yes. But my thing is, even Stephen King probably feels like an imposter some days.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we have that in common. If you feel that, you didn't actually say you
Right.
specifically feel or have imposter syndrome. I'm definitely assuming that every single author ever has
Yes.
imposter syndrome.
Yes, I tell that to my boyfriend all the time. I'm like, hey, if I ever like start thinking that my writing is just the greatest thing ever, could you maybe smack me? Because I think I think that if you feel that way, you're going to lose an authenticity and you're going to lose something in it if you
Yes.
don't question
Well,
yourself.
the thing is, the fool thinks he knows everything. The wise man knows everything he doesn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And you have, yeah, just approaching it like from that was like, I know a lot, but there's so much I don't know.
Right.
Then that'll keep you on the right path, I feel like.
Writing books is definitely a lesson in humility. I will say that.
Yes,
I
yes,
think
right.
writing anything has, because I started doing some of those writer
Yeah.
competitions recently. And
Yes.
let me tell you, I was like, "Ah, yeah, I wanna write a story, and I'm gonna," and then I wrote it about, like, 1200s Ireland is, like, where I set it, and then I'm like, "Wait a
Mm-hmm.
minute. What do their houses look like? Wait a minute. What do they
Yes.
wear? Wait a minute." And
Oh
I was like,
goodness,
"Gosh, this is
historical
not as
fiction.
easy as I thought it was going to
Right.
be."
Right.
Historical
Oh my
Right.
fiction
goodness.
is the hardest.
Right?
Historical
I
fiction is
was
so
just like,
hard.
so I'm sitting up at 3 a.m., like, learning about roundhouses and what they wore and this,
Yes.
that, the other, and
Yes.
is there snow in Ireland? Because when you're writing about the winter, you're automatically gonna say, "Yeah, it was snowing," and then I'm like, "Well, does it even snow in Ireland?" Like, it was just, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure it does.
But like
Um,
also great that you're challenging yourself to write new genres, new things with these writing contests. Like that's so
horror was
valuable.
definitely interesting. Like, I had
I love
never
writing
thought
horror.
in a
Yeah.
million years that horror would be my jam.
No, I
Um,
only wrote
but
horror
it was,
because I was dared to. Yeah, they dared me
yeah,
to, and I was like, I love this. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that just happened to be my genre. I got horror, a nightclub, and a flat screen TV, and I was like,
Yes.
"Here we go, I guess."
Yeah, but yeah, I no, that's like short stories are so valuable in being able to practice and learn things
Mhm.
from, right? If you are having a hard time finishing, finish some short stories and just learn the act
Right.
of finishing and what it takes to get there. Yeah. So I love that you're doing the writing contest as well. Yeah. Well,
All
thank
right.
you so much for being on our show. We want to give you the opportunity to tell us about your socials. I almost forgot,
Nice.
but
And poster
yes,
covers if you have them handy.
I
yes, covers as well.
have both
Oh,
books. They're both on
yay!
Amazon.
Yes.
Um, so all of my socials are really easy. Faith Auad Writes, and you'll find me on everything. My website, my Facebook, my everything is Faith Auad Writes. So,
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. This has been such a
thank you.
wonderful, fun conversation. So we appreciate you being on the show.
All right, thank you.
And thanks to everyone listening along at home. Remember, there's more than one way up the mountain. If you're interested in being a guest on the show, you can find us on social media at The Tellnut Show or email us at thetellnutshow@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening.
Thanks again for listening. If you enjoyed the show, consider subscribing and liking. We appreciate all the support. Julia J.K. Allen is an author, editor, and coach and can be found at hijinksrudder.com.
Kirsha Fox is an author, avid reader, gamer, and mother to four, and you can find her at kirshafox.com. Thanks and see you next time.